In our top story this hour, Ukraine's European allies are meeting in the French capital, Paris, to discuss providing urgent aid to help the country get through freezing winter temperatures. About 70 countries and institutions will be discussing what can be offered between now and March to maintain water, food, energy, health and transport. Now, since October, Russia has been bombing Ukraine's infrastructure, such as power plants, plunging much of the country into darkness. Our chief correspondent, John Cookson, has the story.
France's President Emmanuel Macron welcomes Ukraine's Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal at the Élysée Palace. It's a world away from the misery being suffered by the Ukrainian people as the winter bites. And the conference comes amid criticism of Macron from some European allies and Ukraine itself about French policy on Ukraine and whether France is a weak link in the Western alliance that's been bolstering Kiev against Russia's invasion. President Macron said, "At the heart of the Russian offensive is to plunge the Ukrainian people into despair by attacking in an unacceptable way civilian infrastructures, to cut off water, to cut off electricity, and plunge the population into darkness and cold. So we're mobilizing to help to resist." Earlier, speaking by video link, Ukraine's President Zelensky told G7 nations his country needs about 2 billion cubic meters of additional gas to get through winter. He also said he had a 10-point peace plan, which involved a complete withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukrainian territory, a plan he's put forward before, which has been rejected out of hand by Putin. Meanwhile, the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa is plunged into darkness following Russian drone attacks by so-called kamikaze drones supplied to Putin's military by Iran. The people go to emergency shelters for the basics to survive. This man, Yuri, says, because there's no light in Odessa, no light and water, there's free tea here, candies, biscuits, you can sleep here. Close to here is a bomb shelter, he says. All the security measures are here. And Ludmila, who's 65 years old, says, during the night and morning, from that time there's no electricity here. They say it will take a while because the Odessa region was bombed a few times. Russia has been attacking Ukraine's power infrastructure since October. Now the snow has come. All the people can do is adapt to survive. John Cookson, Arise News.
And Arise News chief correspondent John Cookson joins us now to look at this in more detail. John, good to have you. Fantastic report as always. How significant is this meeting in Paris?
Hi, ladies. Great to be on Newsday, as always. Look, the relationship between Macron and Zelensky hasn't always been good. It's at best described as testy. So it all went south back in June when Macron, who has a good relationship with Putin, said that Putin shouldn't be humiliated in any way, and also said when the war is over, the Russian boundaries should be respected by Western allies. All of that doesn't go down well in Kiev. So for Macron to organize a big conference like this in Paris certainly brushes up his credentials with Zelensky and also with European allies and possibly also with America. So it is significant that it's taking place in Paris. We'll have to see what comes out of it because there's a lot of blah, blah, blah at these kind of conferences that we've seen in the past with Ukraine. And, the Ukrainians get let down on some of the promises that are made. But at least as they're talking, there's hope that something might come out of it.
And I'm glad you did mention that, it hasn't always been positive outcomes when it concerns Zelensky's engagement with his European allies. But this time around, do you think he'll get what he wants from the European allies?
I think so, because he's changed tack a little bit. He's still asking for tanks and rockets and all that stuff, which he may, in due course, get out of the Europeans, but to a limited degree to what he thinks he might actually get and what he needs. He's now asking for generators, gas turbine equipment, everything to help the Ukrainian people get through the winter, which is beginning to bite. Temperatures in Ukraine tend to drop to 20 degrees below minus 20 degrees centigrade during winter. It's already bitterly cold there, and all the infrastructure has been bombed by Russian drones supplied by Iran, and the country is suffering a great deal, as you saw in that report that I put together. I mean, it's pretty grim for the Ukrainian people having to live without electricity for much of the day when temperatures are that low. And it's not just the people; it's hospitals, it's stations, it's shops that can't open because they have no power. It's having a big impact in Ukraine. Now, he says that he wants 800 million euros from the European Union to help him get through the winter. This is in addition to the $100 billion already pledged by America. The Germans today have said that they'll pledge another 50 million euros on top of the 160 million euros that they've already promised. So there's potentially billions and billions of dollars and euros pouring into Ukraine, but frankly, it can never be enough, because to repair what needs to be done and to rebuild the country in the future is going to take trillions and trillions of dollars, I would suggest. The other thing that I should mention, in the last hour, the UK government have imposed fresh sanctions against 16 senior Russian commanders and also Iranian businessmen. Now, the significance of that, of course, is, as I said before, Iran is now supplying Russia with significant military hardware. So the UK putting these sanctions on the senior Russian commanders and Iranian businessmen is quite a big move by the UK.
Thank you so much. Arise News Chief Correspondent John Cookson, thank you for joining us on Newsday. We appreciate your time and analysis as always.